You might have heard about Vim registers, and the fact that you have 26 clipboards, essentially, to work with. Now, I implemented the same thing, but for the system clipboard. I know that many clipboards, like a clipboard manager written in AHK, is not a novel idea, but I think my implementation is more flashy and nicer to use. So, first of all, let's look what's in my clipboard. The current one is just some link to some definitely not pirated website. So, first of all, how do we make use of this? Every time that you need to save your clipboard, you write it to a file. There's a directory of files that you write your clipboard to. So the idea is pretty simple. Okay, how do we do that? Let's press Windows K and then J. Shows us an info saying that yes, indeed, the action got completed. So let's go to register J, and here it is, the link that we got. Great. Let's say we didn't go to the file, because having to go to the file to check what's in it is kind of annoying, because as you can see, I have quite a lot of registers here, and I would rather not have to go to each one to know what's in it. So we have a method called peek that you can use to look at what's in the file or in the register if you want to be fancy. So we press another hotkey and then J to check J, and here it is. We have an info saying what's in it, but also specifying the register that we checked. Great. But what if I am not even sure what registers are free for me to use? Maybe I need to copy my clipboard to somewhere, but I want to be sure I don't overwrite a register. We can also look at every register that has anything in it. Well, K shows up. It looks like it's empty, but I guess it isn't really. Interesting. Well, regardless, here are all the registers that I'm currently using. As I already showed, I have more. They're just empty. So you won't have like, I don't know, 40 something? Well, 36 clipboards, because would you look at that? I also support numbers. They work a bit differently in Vim, and I can't for the life of me figure out how to use them. You would think that number registers are just, the history of your unnamed register changing, but no, it's more complicated than that, and it's really hard to use, honestly, so I just use name registers. But that's kind of off topic. Now, let's check this again. There is at least one register that I can see that is not a single line. Now, what am I talking about? This is a single line, but actually, you can notice the \n, meaning this would be a new line, actually. So when you peek a register, let's only look at 9. When you peek at a register, it only shows the first 100 characters, that is configurable, and replaces new lines with the \n character. This is so everything fits correctly. Because infos works in a way where you're not really supposed to show multi-line stuff, because otherwise it would overlap. So having this solution is a very simple and reasonable one. However, there's also a look method that would correct this, that would display this correctly. So the first line is the link, the second one is a comment actually, but we'll get to that. Now, obviously we don't just store our clipboards, we want to paste it to somewhere as well. Let's go to Discord and paste the, let's check, J, sure, J. I press the hotkey, then J, boom, J pasted. And this uses clip send a function that I wrote a long time ago and will leave a link to in the description. Same thing about the info function, by the way, which is now a class, but the way you use it is exactly the same. It's just that the implementation now lets you interact with the info object in more useful ways, but that doesn't matter. Now we pasted the register J. Let's look at this. Let's look at all of them. So say for some reason I want to move the contents of register J into the K register. There's also a way to do this. You don't have to necessarily go to the file and then copy it and then go to the K. No need. You press one hotkey once again. The reason why I don't specify what hotkey to press is because you set them. It's up to you to decide, but the way all of them work is first you press some hotkey, but then you type in a single character, which will mean your register. So essentially a key coding kind of thing. So I don't remember what I have for move, so let's check it out, I guess. Let's go to, no, that's the actual implementation. Here are my hotkeys. So where's move? Okay, so that's move. So we press the hotkey. What do we want to do? Okay, we first press J and then K. The reason why VS Code is not showing you what I'm pressing is because AutoHotkey catches all of that beforehand. And I still don't know of a single program for Windows that shows my the keys that I press, and one that wouldn't care about AutoHotkey as well. Well, we moved the register. The J register is now empty. The K register now has what the J register had beforehand. Wow, that's a lot of words. Now let's look at all of this and see that there's a lot of stuff here that you might not potentially even want. Say the H register, I don't need that. So what do I do in this point? Do I go to the file? No, I made it better. You just use the method to truncate a register, meaning remove everything in the register without deleting the file. Doesn't really matter if you delete the file or not. Doesn't throw errors as far as I made it, I'm pretty sure, but I would rather not still. So I think it's some hotkey once again, which you're not gonna see. And what is it? H, and now there's nothing in the H register. If we check it, there's nothing. Pretty useful as well. Now we moved a register onto another, but say you want to change some to register, for example 9 and K. If I move 9 to K, I will lose whatever K has now. So I will have to move 9 to some arbitrary register, maybe 0, then K to 9, then 0 to K. That is what? 3 actions for something this simple? Pretty annoying, which is why I have a separate method for you to be able to do that. So keep in mind what's in K and what's in 9. We press once again another hotkey, 9K, and they're now switched. You see that what the register 9 had now is in K, and 9 now has what K had. So you can switch the contents of 2 registers at once. Now, one of the most useful things that I've been using out of this whole thing is the run method. You can run your register via AutoHotkey. So you know how you can run and then link? Well, yeah, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. And the reason why this exists here is because every line that starts with a semicolon is considered a comment. It won't be run because if you try to run this, usually it will be considered an error, but it isn't. It's just a comment. Maybe you have a link here, like I do, and you want to explain to yourself what this link even is, so you can run it later without any issues. Well, let's try it out. I press another hotkey, then K, and I opened a link. And this doesn't only work for links, you can put any command here. Now, I don't think this video is particularly funny, so I'll delete it all and say explorer.exe. Let's try it again. To run this, well, that's interesting. Hold on. Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure why this isn't working, but it's supposed to. Maybe by the time you watch this video, this is already fixed. Maybe not. But one thing that you already saw is that you can indeed run links normally, so that's not an issue. Now, maybe you press one of those hotkeys to do on one of the actions that I just told you about, and you realize that actually I don't want to. Well, you can press escape to cancel the action and do nothing instead. Now to check how all of this actually operates. Everything that you see here, or almost everything, uses this function keycorder to pass the key that we actually need to pass. It works pretty simply. We create an input hook that expects one single character. Once we type it out, that single character, it returns it. And then we pass that as the key that we need to pass to the methods. So one thing that you can do instead, maybe you want to make a hotkey that always copies to the K register, for example, or always pastes from, I don't know, I. You can absolutely do registers and then write and specify K, make that a hotkey. But I want to operate on many different registers, so I just use this keycorder function. One thing that I want to mention, the reason why I don't leave links to specific files that I'm showing off in my videos is because I can potentially rename them or move them or delete them. So me saying, oh, check the description for a definitely correct link, I am probably lying to you, because by the time you get to this video, I might have already moved the file. One thing that you can trust more reliably is looking at the breadcrumbs, seeing the structure and what this even is. So lib just means lib-v2, and I do leave a link to my GitHub profile under every video. Lib-v2 is start, so it's going to be really easy to find, and then you can go to the file that I'm currently in. So instead of just having multiple completely broken links in my description, and I won't notice them until someone asks me to update them. So that's an explanation. Keycorder is a pretty simple function, and it was like surprisingly simple to make. I expected more difficulties from using input hook, but apparently I was wrong. Okay, and essentially that's how you do stuff. Going into some parts of the implementation that might be important for you to know, because the next video I'm actually going to go through all of the code, how it operates, how it works, but in this video I will just explain how to use this all. First of all, this registers.hk file in abstractions in lib-v2 has multiple dependencies. You can disconsider that, if that's even a word. That's specifically for me to provide the path that we need to provide. But these three are actually required, and the paths are as obvious as they are here, because pretty much all code that I show off in my videos will be in lib-v2. First of all, info timeout. Remember how we had this action canceled thing, which disappears very quickly, where, well, That's how you specify it. By default, it's half a second. You can make it far longer. It's specified in milliseconds. So you would have to change the value here. Then registers directory. My registers are in a folder or in a directory. And you specify the directory here. Remember not to put a backslash at the end because I take care of that myself. And then one more thing that's important to notice. I have two keyboard layouts, so maybe I want to use some commands maybe to write my clipboard to some register. But I don't recognize that, oh, I actually have a Russian layout right now. So I end up writing to a register that I didn't consider, and then when I try to paste or run that register while having the English layout now, I get very much confused. But if instead I go to Russian now and try to copy something, it now throws an error saying, yo, you passed something that you probably don't actually want to pass. Because the way registers are made is by creating files. What if you pass something like, like the question mark? You probably don't want that in a file name. And that's why valid registers exist. It's for you to specify what characters are okay and which are not. I just specified all of the numbers, all of the English letters, and all of the uppercase letters, which are not what you think they are unless you're a Vim user, in which case, yes, indeed, they do work like you think they do. I'll stop being cryptic when we get to that. But yeah, if you want to add some characters that, first of all, could be in a file name, and second of all, you want, then yeah, you just add them here and it's all good. You won't see the error message anymore. And I don't think I'm going to tell you how to disable the error message overall just yet. Maybe in the next video. So max peak characters. Remember when I said about peak? Yeah, it shows you only the first 100 characters that are in the register. You can change this. It's just that it might go on off the screen and there's not really a need. But maybe the info class for you is smaller on your screen or bigger. Naturally, you would want to increase or decrease the amount of characters that you show at once. That's where you do it. And pretty much everything else will be for the next video, aside from write or append. I just mentioned that uppercase letters don't work specifically how you think they do. I don't actually have a hotkey for write, but I do have a hotkey for write or append. So in Vim, if you try to copy something, or yank something to be specific, to a lowercase register, you overwrite that register. But if you specify an uppercase register, then you append to it instead. So currently I have explorer.exe in my carry register, and say I want to copy, but then uppercase K. Boom, I append it to it. But if I specified a lowercase k, then it overwrites that register. You might think, but isn't just having 26 more clipboards better? Perhaps. For many people, I feel like it would be. Personally, I think appending is very useful. I'll show off how I use it personally. But aside from that, for whatever reason, they just didn't work. Creating files of the same name, but with an uppercase letter, for some odd reason, didn't work. And it would just interact on the same register, but lowercase, which is wild. So I decided to make it work like Vim does. Maybe it's something about AutoHotkey being case insensitive, which is wild, honestly. Now, how do I use this? So maybe I want to save this link, and let's see what I have. Let's save it to 0. Oh yeah. Info, closing info by pressing escape. Oh yeah, by the way, to close your infos, you just press escape. But I have a hotkey for escape on Chrome, so it doesn't work. So 0 is not occupied. Let's grab the link and move it to 0. What? That's wild. Interesting. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I understand why. Let's choose 8 then. Pretty sure the issue is the error checking. Once again, I'm going to go over the juicy details of the implementation in the next video, so look out for that. Now I have this link in my 8 register, but I don't actually, maybe I forget what it's even for. So I create a comment. This is watch later. I also copy it. I picked a terrible register to show this off at. Essentially, I would somehow, by the way, it's not possible at this moment, do an uppercase 8, and then it would have, yeah, and then it would add this is watch later to the register 8, like this. Yeah, if I picked literally any other register that is not a number, this would be how it works. It doesn't work for numbers now. Shouldn't be too difficult to implement, but I'm not sure if I will. Okay, now the reason I made all of this isn't really because I need multiple clipboards. I never really needed them, but because, let me show this off, maybe typing, I've typed a long ass message multiple times on this channel. I'm typing a long ass message and I want to edit it, but the tools that I'm given, control arrows and all of that shit, it's honestly not enough for me. I'm a Vim user and I like to use Vim. So I wanted to quickly be able to copy this to a file, go to it, then do some editing with Vim, go back and paste it. This looks complicated, but honestly, sometimes Vim can be such a huge help that I would rather. So that was my use case, but turns out I actually do make use of having multiple registers, maybe for links that I want to save, but not quite sure where to put them, and especially for YouTube. So I've been watching this YouTube series for some time now. I think I watched like, I don't know, like 50 episodes or something. It's going to end soon for me, which is...
With another play style.
Please shut up. Yeah, and the thing is, there's not a real good way to save where I left off at on YouTube. Maybe, and usually it will just appear on my recommended page, but then I go onto the video and it's actually not 29:18 where I did left off, where I did leave off, I guess, but somewhere here, for example, so it can forget where I was actually at. But if I right click, copy video URL at current time, and then copy it to a register, boom, I can be sure that I'm going to continue on in the same place. And I'm going to keep the playlist as well. Like, it's incredible. So if you would like to use this as well, here's how you do it. All the dependencies are listed on tops of my files, same here, and all of my dependencies are in lib-v2. For a more in-depth look at how all of this works, all the error handling, all the passing, and so on, look out for the next episode of this series, because yeah, it's actually a series of literally 2 episodes, but still there's going to be a playlist. And if you enjoyed this video, press a like, type some comment, maybe you have a question or suggestion. Definitely subscribe so you don't miss my content, but most importantly, stay fresh, cheese bags, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!